All right, class test number 2, mystery neighbors. How can something that old be right here in Illinois? Rob asked himself. He had been using the internet to research law. Rob had found some interesting places around the world, but then he found a place called Jehoiakim. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. After a quick search, Rob was amazed. Jehoiakim was a lost civilization about 2 hours from his home. Between 20,000 to 40,000 people once lived there and built 120 mounds. Yet researchers disagree about how the people lived there and the purpose of the mounds. We'll see the importance of written records here because we had so many questions when there was no written records. Rob read that long ago Jehoiakim covered 4,000 acres. It was a large city north of Mexico. Living there were farmers, hunters, and priests. He already knew that researchers vary in their conclusion about the Jehoiakim. Still, most of them think that the city is about 300 years later. That was 100 years before Columbus or any other Europeans arrived in North America. Why would people build a big city and then abandon it? Rob wondered. He was excited to tell his parents that he had learned. They had heard about Jehoiakim, but hadn't been there. Before Rob could even ask, his mom suggested that they all go the following weekend. On Saturday morning, they stopped at the visitors center. A model of the ancient city showed the mounds and hundreds of homes, some with their own gardens. Next, Rob wanted to explore the huge monk's mound. It was 10 stories high. He had read that this mound was bigger at its base than the largest pyramid in Egypt. Rob wondered how many trips it took to haul enough dirt to make a mound that big. The family climbed 156 steps to the top of the mound, which seemed to soar into the sky. From there, they looked out over the enormous flat, grassy area and other mounds. The view was astounding. It was more amazing than Rob had expected. I can see parts of the woodland wall around the city, Rob said. Maybe the people who lived here were attacked and killed by their enemies. Maybe, his mother agreed. She checked the booklet from the visitor center. The ruler of Jehoiakim probably lived right here on this mound. But no one knows for sure that this ruler existed, Rob said, and no one knows what role he had. Why didn't the Jehoiakim people leave behind any records? Here we had another. Why didn't they leave the past records? They didn't forget to write down their history, Rob, his dad explained. Long ago, many groups didn't have a written language. They couldn't record their history. Instead, parents told the story to their children, and children told the same story to their own kids. That's how they tried to preserve their history. Yet those stories are lost. That's too bad, Rob said, because I'd really like to know more about the people who lived here. After all, they were our neighbors. Finally, in the last paragraph, we see why we call it, the story was about the mysterious neighbors. So there's a couple different places in here where it talked about not having this history and how nice it would be to have it. All right, well, let's check out our questions first. Number 11 says, what is the theme of the passage? Even big cities can be abandoned. It is difficult to trust information on the internet. Telling stories to preserve history does not work, or information that is not recorded may be lost forever. Number 12. Which word from the passage is a homophone for the word defined below? The color of many fire trucks. What's the color of many fire trucks? Okay, then you're trying to pick its homophone. In other words, it sounds the same, but it's spelled different with a different meaning. 13. Why does Rob want to visit Jehoiakim? He is interested in spending time with his family. He is interested in the city's history. He wants to tell his friends about it. He wants to see where the ruler lived. And number 14. Read the following sentence from the passage. Yet researchers disagree about how many people live there and the purpose of their mounds. How does this text evidence support the theme? It tells what Rob learned from the internet. It tells why Rob wanted to go to Cahoyake. It focuses on the missing information. It gives information about Cahoyake. Okay, well, it doesn't give information because they didn't have any. So one of those other ones is what you're looking for. Number 15. 15 says, read these sentences from the passage. The view was astounding. It was more amazing than Rob expected. The author uses astounding instead of wonderful to show that the view was pleasurable, different, above average, or very surprising. Number 16. What evidence from the text best supports the theme? Chocoya was a lost civilization about 2 hours from his home. Between 20 to 40,000 people once lived there and built 120 mounds. What really surprised Rob that everyone abandoned the cities about 300 years later. But no one knows for sure that this ruler existed, Rob said, and no one knows what role he had. 17. Which word from the passage is a homophone for the word defined below, painful? What word means painful? Enormous, formers, sore, written. Enormous, farmers, sore, and written. Number 18. 17 was kind of tough. I'll give you some hints. Obviously, it's not farmers or enormous. So, if my muscles are very painful, they might be what? Sore or written? Number 18. Read the following sentence from the passage. Rob wondered how many trips it took to haul enough dirt to make a mound that big. Which is the definition that fits the word haul that is written in the sentence above? A passage from one place to another. A large room for events. To carry something, to find something. Haul your books home. Number 19. What message does the author want to give the reader? History is really exciting. Some things cannot be explained. You can find amazing facts on the web. Some stories from history may be lost to us. Number 20. Read the sentence from the passage. But no one knows for sure that this ruler existed, Rob said, and no one knows what role he had. Which definition fits the word role as it's used in the sentence above? Is that a kind of bread? To turn over? A position? Or a tube? Alright guys, that ends our multiple choice video. The next one will be our essay. Remember to pick one of the stories for your essay. Start thinking about that, and I'll give you some tips, hints, and pointers.